Okay. Now I think I want to try to go and see what gear sets we got so I can kind of break down what each one does. So instead of me recommending something, you get like an idea of maybe something you can go for or a gear set you would want to go for, and then you can reference to this video or these sets of videos, whatever it is, and think of it like a podcast or something on Spotify. But my voice is not Morgan Freeman level, you know. Um, and then I'm gonna go to my stash too if I don't know some of these. So tipping scales is LMG damage and gives you handling and crit damage, and it's the newest set, and that's what I use. Crazy damage just by shooting. You don't even have to hit targets to stack up the stacks for it, but you have to hit targets to do damage. So at the end of the day, you still need accuracy. And the handling helps with that because that increases your accuracy and your stability. Measured assembly is having to do with stopping enemy skills and gets benefited from your allies being within range of your skills. So specifically Hive and Smart Cover. Uh, I guess we can go and look at what Hive and Smart Cover is. Hive, so like restore Hive since it's like a skill healing build. Um, Obviously you can use something else, but they do damage, and this one that specific gear set gives skill repair. And then Smart Cover would be this, and it would either give you your teammates damage, and even though this is more of an offensive thing, it's still a skill based. So like skill duration would help as opposed to like skill damage, but um and then like this one's defensive. So there's an offensive and a defensive bonus armor and extra stuff. So if they're in the range of these skills, which the radius is 6 meters, with if they're in the range of that or the hive for scroll down here, measured assembly, then you get extra benefits for this set. Refactor is all about your skills dealing damage and your teammates getting healed by that damage, and you also get healed as well. Virtuoso has to do with marksman rifles. I'm not even going to go into that. Breaking Point, marksman rifles. Breaking Point and Hotshot are the two best marksman rifle, sniper rifle gear sets in the game. They give you extra damage and handling and such. And when we go to my stash, I'll be able to show you what actually like the bonuses are for most of these because I just have pieces in case I want to make a build for it instead of going out and farming. But if I want to perfect the build and get optimized stats, then I'll go and farm it. But at least to make the rough draft, I don't need to do that. Aegis is damage resistance, like 4% damage resistance per target within like 20 meters or something like that. And then it gets multiplied by the amount of agents on your team. And it goes up to like a little bit less than 50%. So it could be good if you want damage resistance, but at the end of the day, just remember, if you're not killing the enemies, you're just gonna end up dying because you're still gonna end up taking some sort of damage. And it's not like unless you're just infinitely healing or something along those lines, then I guess it could work. But you still gotta kill the enemy somehow. They're not just gonna die. It's not old school COD zombies, you know. Cavalier is about hazard protection and skill damage resistance. And then there's a portion where you charge up just by being out of cover, you charge up your stacks. And then when it's fully charged, you can, I don't know if you go into cover, but something happens when you're fully charged up and you can transfer your hazard protection and skill damage resistance to your teammates. Um, I don't really use it because skill damage resistance, like, I guess it could be good for drones, but that's like a very situational thing. But the hash protection could be good, you know, especially against like flamethrower guys and stuff. Talking about flamethrowers. Ortiz X0. Yeah, so this set's all about the flame turret. Allows you to use a flame turret, not take damage from your flame turret, and it increases the duration of the burn and the damage of the burn. And that could be good for like a status effect build. I was thinking of using this with my status effect build because it actually has to do with fire, And increasing burn duration increases the amount of time that enemies are taking damage. So it would have worked really well. And then just the straight burn damage overall, that's why I wanted to add some skill damage in there, because then that is the initial blast of the hit gets affected, and then just the overall damage gets affected. So status effects and skill damage can go hand in hand. Hot shot has to do just like we were talking with breaking point, marksman rifles, and headshot damage. And this one gives you separate bonuses from breaking point. They're similar, but I think hot shot is like indefinitely. You can just like increase the damage indefinitely. Like you get, as long as you're hitting headshots and not missing, you just will keep on getting 20% headshot damage, 20% headshot damage, 20%. It just, and it didn't, there's nothing on the description that says there's a cap. So I'm assuming as long as you're being accurate, and sometimes the game will get all crafty with you and try to make you miss headshots just by like the person will peek and then all of a sudden their head won't be there when you go to shoot or something. Game can be crafty, but as long as you're hitting those headshots, like you can be doing millions, probably even billions of damage. Now, I don't know if there's a visual cap on the damage numbers when you see it, but there's no limitation on the gear set from at least on paper. Umbra Initiative is a hybrid set, good for armor regeneration and a fire rate and crit damage bonus. And the fire rate acts as a damage bonus in a sense. Yeah, I don't really need to talk about this. We kind of already know what this is. Heartbreaker, kind of already know what it is, but you build bonus armor by shooting pulsed enemies, and then you get extra damage against pulsed enemies. And then the bonus armor actually offers extra protection too. But it's also the source of your strength, so you got to build it back up to survive easier, to make it easier to survive, and then also to do more damage. But at the end of the day, it's it's like a hybrid tank build. So where you can say like something else like is a hybrid damage build, this is a hybrid tank. Like think of like Sativa and Indica. So like you get a hybrid. It's usually dominant to one side. So Heartbreaker is dominant to the tank side because of the bonus armor specification and the fact that you can put armor on. And then since you're getting damage from bonus armor, you don't have to worry too much about the reds. But either way, if you're putting reds on the build, like all weapon damage and no armor, and you're just considering the bonus armor your protection and stuff, and that works for you, at the end of the day, it's not going to be enough damage. You're going to want more damage, and then you might as well just go for something else if you're going to go for all reds on Heartbreaker. But when I did my research on Heartbreaker and I wanted to get more ideas from the internet like you guys, everyone's saying run all reds and that's it. And that's not how I play Heartbreaker and enjoy Heartbreaker. I enjoy Heartbreaker with survivability. I don't want to run all reds, and my bonus armor will literally be, I will literally only have like 2 million armor with my bonus armor, but with some blues on my build, I'll have like at least 3-4 million armor with my bonus armor. And that off provides me a cushion. I lose my bonus armor, I still have 2 million armor, so I'm still kind of tanky. But with an all red build, I lose all my bonus armor, and then now I'm down to a regular all red build that we all know and love with strikers and stuff that just gets shredded no matter what. So it's just like, why would I do that? But since you guys looking on the internet, getting inspiration, everybody's saying do red, then why would you do a blue Heartbreaker build, right? Rigor has to do with interacting with your skills, and it'll give them like a instant cooldown, and you get like extra skill damage. I don't understand the purpose of it, but I've seen some people talking about it, like a couple people. It's like when I see a couple people talking, it makes me think it's niche, but it probably has its uses. Um, People were saying this is like similar to, where is it? Similar to Hardwired, where it just instantly cools down your skills, and you can just get a huge uptime to your skills. And like they'll never be on cooldown. You just always have them active. And 20% damage isn't that much damage to me, so that what turned me off. Like it gives you that. Like the description literally says interacting with your skills gives you 20% damage. And I think like the backpack or the chest will give you that skill cooldown thing. And I was just like, wow, that's 2 bonuses from 4 pieces of armor I have to put on. Like I feel like I can get something better just out of some gold pieces. But like I said, I've seen a couple people talking about it, and they were really repping it hard. So, and it did sound really nice having complete uptime on your skills and just always having them, especially if you're running a skill build. And I think they were running it with like the sticky grenade launcher and then something else, and then they would just interact with their one skill that was next to them, and then their sticky grenade launcher would be back, and they would just be able to shoot it right again, and it would be doing like 1.5 or more damage, or it could be EMPs and shutting down skills and stuff, and you could just shoot it again. Um, Hunter's Fury, close quarters, SMG, shotgun damage. You get a 15%, 20% damage buff to enemies within 15 meters of you, and if you kill an enemy, you get armor on kill, and that enemy, when they die, it like spreads a cloud of disorientation or something, some kind of Joker laughing gas cloud, makes them disoriented for a little while, and then when you kill an enemy, you get another extra 5% damage, and it stacks, but it's only limited. But it is close quarters, and the armor on kill helps you stay alive. So it can be beneficial. I actually prefer not to use this in groups of 4 because I feel like it's too weak. In groups of 3 and below, it's viable, but it's like on challenging, 100%. You can use this on challenging any day of the week, even on countdown. The hunters will be a little weird because that's your first fight, but once you start getting kills and getting stacks, like on anything challenging, Hunter's Fury all day. Like you don't have to worry about even running Umbra because then you got to sit and cover to build your stacks up. But you might as well just run around and get in people's faces with this build. But on heroic, when you have to get that initial first kill, it's a little difficult because the enemies are just going to shred you out in front. So like maybe having something that can disorient them first, like a Banshee Pulse, could help. But you gotta still build up your damage. That's the only problem. But when you get kills, you get armor back, so that can help you survive longer, and you get health back too. So if you ran into some kind of toxic cloud or something, or you lost all your armor and you just went straight to your health and you're losing health, or you have a status effect on you, you get some health back too. But all in all, this was one of my first gear sets I made, and I only have one. I made a bunch of builds for this, and I only have one of them left, and I barely even use it because I'm just doing more damage with other sources, and I'm not worried about losing my armor and stuff. But I'm also able to survive at the same time for the most part, if I'm being smart. Eclipse Protocol. I actually just made a set for this.
A hostile control point detected.
I haven't completely finished it, and this is the vial set I was talking about. But yeah. Let me put it on so you can see it highlighted. So this all has to do with status effects. Hash protection's cool, but status effects and spreading them. And it's just, you get, it's kind of like the hollow point ammo I was talking about ongoing directive. You just get one person hit with a status effect and you can just spread it. So I get one person hit with a status effect or a group of enemies, doesn't matter, and I kill that one person. I kill one person affected by that status effect, and it spreads to every enemy within 10 meters. And then with the chest plate, it's 15 meters. And 75% of the duration of the status effect gets applied to them. So it's not the full status effect, but it's a good portion of it, 75%. And then the backpack gives me 30% extra damage to enemies affected by status effects, which is any enemy, which is great because then that gives me a little bit of weapon damage too. But since I'm using skill tiers or skill stuff, knee pads are not supposed to be on here because as you saw when I was putting the set on, it says item missing. So that's why the knee pads are on there. I think I had something to do with either skill damage or there was a pair of grease knee pads I had on that gave me skill duration, but like I said, I'm still working on this and not sure if I'm going to keep it. It's a cool build, but it's just like at the end of the day, I could just be doing damage instead of building status effects. But if the team has enough damage, then I could just use this, and this will just clean up and then start the engagement for every enemy, and then the damage will clean up, you know? So Yeah, it's not bad actually. A lot of status effect damage. I'm using the flame turret, but this freaking grenade launcher is gonna be the icing on the cake because I'll be able to use this at any range, and I don't have to worry about setting it up like this thing. But I could use this for close quarters, to be honest. Just put it down next to me if anyone wants to come up to me, and then I use this for range. And apart from me just doing damage, it's also stunning the enemies because it's burning them, and burning them staggers them, and staggering them stops them from doing damage to me and my team. So then my team can dish out damage and not they can survive easier too. So that's the idea with this one. And the fact that you can get a whole room, you kill one enemy and it sets the whole room on fire, even though I didn't shoot any of them or even look at them. So that's the idea here. The cluster bomb's cool, but I kind of would want the. Where is it? Let me actually go over there. Actually, it's up here. I would honestly want the grenade from the demolitionist because it's the. No, not the one. Is it the survivalist? Yes. I would want the incendiary grenade. The fire grenade. I could have just gone in here, honestly. Because then that just applies to all the extra fire damage that I'm going for. And then the Vile Mask is cool, and I've never used this before, but I'm surprised I didn't. Oh, that's what I was using. I was using a pair of China Light knee pads that gave me 15% explosive damage because that increased the damage of the concussion grenade. So the Vile Mask, what it does is status effects also apply a damage over time debuff for 10 seconds. So just like the Pestilence, it's a debuff instead of a status effect. But this status effects create a damage over time debuff. So the debuff's not a status effect, but status effects cause the debuff. And then so they're getting hit with the burn damage and the status effect damage, and then now they're getting hit with this damage over time debuff. And the damage over time debuff is equivalent or equal to 50% of my concussion grenades damage, and status effects increase the damage of that as well. Cool looking mask, right? So hold on, what was I? Status effects, skill haste, Vile Mask. Oh yes. So half of 1.4 is about like 700,000. 700,000. If I get my explosive damage up, I can get that higher. And with that 15%, I was able to get it to 1.6 million. So then half of that would be 700, well, 800,000. About 800,000, yeah. And then it's not that much of an increase, but again, I just put this together and was testing in the firing range, so I haven't actually used it in the field. It's going to be a little different in the field because enemies are not going to be as grouped up as much as the longer the engagement goes and in some encounters. But if we're just running through the streets, they're all usually going to be grouped up and it's going to be on the street. So 15 meters should get most of them. But if there's like a sniper, it might not. But that's cool. That's just like one or two enemies. We got the main group. Um, and then I can also use this if I wanted
Agent
to against
requesting
that
backup.
sniper. Since it's a cloud, I don't have to hit directly on them. It could be around them, and I can still get them. And even if it doesn't kill them, they are immobilized by fire. So I could even try riot foam too. And even though it wouldn't be doing damage, it would still provide support because they wouldn't be doing damage. They'd just be stuck. And since I'm using a skill build, I get 20-second cooldowns, which is cool. But yeah, the Vile Mask is pretty cool actually. Just seeing extra stacks, and I was thinking of using the Pestilence on top of it, but it was just like the reload speed of the Pestilence, and it worked, but the blue screen, the fact that the blue screen causes enemies to suffer status effects, it literally goes hand in hand with the Vile Mask. Because now, if I'm hitting enemies so many times and marking all these enemies, and I'm applying Pulse, Disrupt, and Disorient on enemies, they're now taking 3 different sources of vile tick damage because it is 3 different status effects. So I was just like, holy shit. Even though I'm not using a damage build and it's all skills, so I don't really have the most weapon damage, it's still giving me that damage because it's multiple different sources of status effects. So, like, if it was a pestilence, it would still be effective because the pestilence has its own debuff and it's dealing damage, and it could spread easily since the enemies are weakened from the status effects and burn. But with this, it's just like I'm supporting the team by disrupting enemies. I'm supporting the team by immobilizing enemies through burn, and then I'm also doing damage. So it's just like, if it's like, say the damage ticks are like 100,000, which is not that much. I don't think it's that. I think it's more than that, but it'll be 100,000 from the burn, and then the burn damage on top of that, and then it'll be 100,000 from pulse, disrupt, and disorient, and then that'll be 300,000 from those, and then 400,000 with the 100,000 from this. So, and then plus just the actual burn damage, and then on top of that, we're shooting them. So it's just all this added stuff, and then it's also hitting enemies that I'm not shooting at because of the burn damage and the extra pulse and disrupt. Like I can mark them with a couple bullets on every enemy, and then just focus one enemy, and then if I shoot that one enemy 50 times, and if he dies or I activate a skill, then it applies those debuffs, or applies those status effects, excuse me. And then I have this gun, the test subject, kind of like Julio when he uses that Harmony like marksman rifle or sniper rifle with perfectly in sync. So I'm getting 20% skill damage, and then when my skills do damage to the enemy, it's giving the gun 20% damage, and then when they're both doing damage at the same time, which I showed in the firing range when I was testing this build out in a previous video, it was 40% damage for both. So I was getting 40% extra burn damage. And then I was also getting 40% weapon damage. And even though it's not a damage build and it's a skill build, it's giving me 40% extra damage. That's a lot. And then the backpack's giving me 30% extra damage against any enemy that has a status effect on them. So that's like, I could use either one. Like, it's cool. It works either way. This is better for the skills, but this is better for status effects, which is funny. So this is better for the main status effects because it's part of the skills, the fire. But this also applies status effects, so it's beneficial too. So it's really cool. I never thought you can do this with a build and just hitting a whole room. And like I said, you don't even have to do. Yeah, you don't even have to do damage status effects. You can do stuff that immobilizes enemies. So what were we talking about? We were talking about the riot foam. So you can do riot foam, and you hit one enemy and kill them, and now the whole room is hit with riot foam, and you didn't even have to look at them or shoot them or anything. They're just the whole room of 15 meters away from that one enemy is just immobilized now. So it probably wouldn't be for 15 seconds. It'd probably be for like more like 12 seconds or something like that, or 10 seconds. But that's still more than what it was before, when they weren't immobilized and running around and shooting at people. So, and like that could be for anything. Like I know the sticky bomb has like EMP, so like for like electronics and skills, you can use that, and that would a little like the the robo dogs and the drones in the air and stuff like that, or like people that send drones out with bombs, like they wouldn't even be able to send them out because they would be disrupted. Like, and then you can disrupt the whole room. So then if it's Black Tusk, if there's no robo dogs because they're just going to be innate on the ground because they're shut down, and then there's no drones because the drone handlers are EMP'd and they can't even use their drones because their gear is EMP'd, their skills are EMP'd, like how ours would be. So like you can use this for the burn stuff too. It just lasts longer and has a bigger radius, but you gotta wait 30 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever it is, just for one. Whereas like the chem launcher, I have 6 ammo, 7 ammo, whatever. So on overcharge, I think it's 7. So yeah, that's that. This could be a long video. Shucks. At least we're closer to the bottom. Striker, I don't have to talk about. It's just you gotta hit your enemies and you build stacks, and it gives you weapon damage. Okay, next one. Future Initiative. Ooh. Is this the crit damage one? No. I think this is another status effect one. Or I think this is healing. But the best part is, what do we have a
Hostile
stash
control
for?
point nearby.
So let's see. System corruption, eclipse. Now I don't have everything. Some of these sets I just took out because I knew I wasn't gonna make a build for it, or I just didn't grab it. Future Initiative increases you when you're okay. I used to have a build for this. I think I deleted it though. No, I still have my build for it, guys. See, I did want to make something for it. I'm just gonna stay here by my stash because I can look for other stuff. So Future Initiative is a healing set. And this is usually people's go-to set for healing. Now, I don't think I really need to go too much into this because mostly everybody is either doing tank or damage, mostly damage. So, I don't really think I need to go into this, but increases your allies. It's a support build, so increases your allies' weapon damage while they're at full armor, and then it also gives you repair skills, and that helps for healing and stuff. So, like, I feel like Julio might have enjoyed a build with this, with like the Alpha Bridge set or something, when in the Division 1. But since Alpha Bridge's not a set, maybe not now, but this kind of would be the closest thing, but it doesn't give you, it gives you damage when at full armor, but it doesn't give you specifically the user damage. So it's kind of like, it's not the same, and maybe that's why they didn't bring Alpha Bridge back as a set, because this is kind of the same thing, but it's just a piece of it. It's just the support part of it, like the healing and a little bit of extra damage. But for this one, I have this other one that also increases their damage, your teammates' damage. So 15, 15, and then this for the hive reduces the cooldown and stuff like that when I'm out of charges. But yeah, that's pretty much for that one. Good for healing, but situational, I guess. Let's see here. Foundry Bulwark has to do with armor regeneration. Very self-explanatory. When you or your shield take damage, you gain armor regen. It is repaired back to you over 10 seconds. Very effective. Does not mean you can just stand out in the open on a legendary mission and just straight up take damage forever. You're gonna die eventually. Same with the damage resistance. Like, you're still taking some form of damage that is going to outweigh how much you're getting armor regen. Now, the Catharsis Cloud is nice, and it does work on Heroic in some cases, but if you're doing 2 minigun guys and 8 freaking elites shooting at you, you're not going to be out healing the damage that they're doing, especially if they're all focused on you. Like, it just, like, unless you're getting healed by your whole entire team, like all 3 members of your team are healing you, then you're just not going to survive. Like, it just doesn't work like that. Now maybe if you put some damage resistance on here with some armor regen, maybe that could work a little bit easier, and you would be mitigating some of the damage that you're getting taken. And then if you use a shield, of course, that's literally taking the damage for you. So it could possibly work, but it just, at the end of the day, you would need someone to kill the enemy, or you'd be sitting there shooting with your unlimited ammo pistol for a very long time. But if you have the patience for it, then hey, I know I have the patience for it in some cases, but like I said, some cases. Otherwise, I just do damage and I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, so that's the it. Foundry Bulwark is a nice set. One of my friends wants to do, or said he did a Foundry Warg with all damage and he liked it for the most part, but there's just better ways to go about doing damage and surviving. So if you do more damage, then you don't have to worry about that. But he doesn't use it. I never see him using it, but he talks about it a lot. System Crush, I'm pretty sure is a PvP set, and I think you can only get it from PvP. I know I have pieces of it though. Armor on kill, disrupt resistance, yeah, like maybe the Black Tusk will disrupt you. Pulse resistance, you don't have to worry about pulse resistance from enemies. Like, what, you're gonna be worried that enemies are gonna know where you're at? They're AI, they already know where you're at. Replaces armor kits with an instant infinite use ability on a 20-second cooldown that repairs 20% armor, grants 50% bonus armor, and hides your nameplate. So the hiding nameplate thing, unless enemies can't see you because your nameplate's hidden, I don't know if that's going to actually help you in PvE, but the rest of the stuff sounds pretty cool, you know? And then increases your total weapon damage by 2% per 5% bonus armor gained, up to 20%. So I wonder if this is like a reduxed version of Nomad, but with armor kits. I don't know. It could be. But anyway, that's what that is. I don't really use that set either, so. Let's see. I guess I don't use a lot of these sets, but Aces and Eights has to do with marksman rifle damage, just like Breaking Point and Hotshot, but it's less effective than Breaking Point and Hotshot. Like, I feel like, and this has been said by a YouTuber as well, that I watched the video on all these different gear sets as well, was Aces and Eights is like an outdated version of Breaking Point and Hotshot. Like, he felt like it needed to be updated. And let's see what the difference is between the two so we can actually make our own opinion about it, you know? So let's see. I don't even know if I have Ace and Ace Pete's. Oh, I do, even though I know I'm not going to make a set for it. But I said that about True Patriot, and I made something for it, so. So yeah, 15% marksman rifle damage, 15% rifle damage, 30% headshot damage.